Okay, folks, I'm starting the recording right now. Today I have with me Mike Minnick. He is one of our blank check trading system students. I'm happy to say he is probably one of our more successful students. He's posted a bunch of trades in the group that have done very well. And so I wanted to get him on the call and just pick his brain a little bit and talk to him. So, Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Awesome. I'm doing swell. So let's start off, Mike. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, as you already said, my name is Mike Minnick. I'm 56 years old, been married for 35 years, college professor, hoping to retire in about 3 years. I've traded equity options since the late 1980s, but future options only since I did the blank check trading system about 10 months ago, I guess it was. Um, so I've, lot of experience with options, but not as much, nearly as much with the futures options.
Okay. So when you first heard about the course, what was it that appealed to you about it?
Mostly just diversification. I mean, I've been doing all the equity options. As a matter of fact, I, I don't remember exactly when I sent the email to you, but I sent an email to you because you had been, uh, I've been involved in a program that you had with equity options, and I sent you an email asking if you were, ever going to do something with or had something that you'd done, some kind of program with futures options. At that time, you said no, you hadn't, but you were just getting ready to start, so stay tuned. And it was like within a month of that. But I was ready at the time because I wanted to diversify into something different, and uh, basically, but sticking with the options. And so that's basically, as far as I knew, the only other place to go besides the equities was into futures, real stuff, not just.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, futures options obviously deal with real stuff like cocoa and gold and
Right.
oil and stuff that you can actually hold and has real value. So
Okay. Have you
I've
ever
spent.
done commodities themselves?
Excuse me now.
Have you ever done commodities themselves?
No, I'd never done anything with commodities at all.
Okay.
Well, actually, I take that back. I had actually bought silver before. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, actual silver. I didn't take delivery, but I had actually bought silver. I don't know how old you are, so I don't know how far back your memory goes. But there was a time back in the I think it was the late '80s when the Hunt brothers, I think, tried to corner the market in silver. And
Yep.
that was a very good time for me because we gained, within a few months we gained like 60 or 70% on the silver. But that was my only experience in commodities. It wasn't with contracts; it's actually with buying actual silver.
Okay. All right. So now you are currently teaching, correct?
That is correct.
All right. So how do you find the time for your trading?
Well, there are some times when it's a little bit inconvenient because I'll be in class, and while I'm in class, I'm not watching the market. So if something dramatic happens in that 1 or 2 hours while I'm in class, then obviously I'm not as quick to respond to it. But unlike, high school teachers who, they go in at 7:30, 8 o'clock, whatever, and they're pretty well busy, except maybe they have maybe one period off for lunch or something like that, or a study period. They're going till 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll have generally 2 or 3 hours a day that I'll be teaching classes, and other than that, I'm in my office. That doesn't mean I can be on the computer watching oil options that entire time because I've got preparation work. Students will
Mm-hmm.
come by to get help for it, but it means I can have my platform up for options trading in it, and so periodically while I'm doing other things, I can take a look and see, oh wow, it's making a move up here, it's making a move down. I better look at what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So do I have all the time I'd have if I were sitting at home and have it, and having it, having the platform up in front of me all day long? No, but it's it's not it's not as time restrictive as somebody who say has a job that they have to be doing something away from a computer for 8 hours a day.
Hmm.
I'm not in that position.
Okay. So now I did notice that you are more active in the trading than I am. And so by that I mean that you enter and exit more often than I do. And you're the one that really said that you use the stop loss or the stop limits order, the orders to get out, and you've used that very well. So could you tell us about how long does it take you per day or during the week? How much time do you actually put into your trading?
Um, I didn't really give a lot of thought to that, but I'm going to guess that on a big day, when I spent a lot of time, it would be no more than an hour, hour and a half.
Hmm.
I mean, and some days hardly anything happens, and so you may spend 15 minutes on it actively,
Right.
and the rest of the day having the platform just up on the computer, and so that throughout the day, when between other things, you just glance at it and see, well, still nothing's happening much, so
Hmm.
just go back to what. But
Right.
I can't think that there's been any day that I've spent more than about an hour and a half.
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, I do remember you telling me that you do not have a cell phone. And so that's one of the things about my cell phone. I have this little widget on my phone that I could just look at the phone and it tells me how oil is doing. So I don't need the platform up all the time. That
Right.
might be
Yeah.
one reason you want to get a phone, but that's cool. Okay. So all right. So when you did join the course, what was the biggest hurdle or the obstacle that you came across?
Well, the biggest problem that it didn't turn out to be a problem, but the biggest problem that I wondered would happen would be whether you were going to offer the course at a time that I could take it. A couple different things were involved in that. One, I not only am a college professor, I also am a PA announcer for our college's basketball team. So that means, generally speaking, during basketball season anyway, a couple or several evenings a week might be taken up doing that. And during the spring, of course, this wasn't during the spring. I'm also a high school softball umpire, and so and then that was one thing, was just my schedule, because I just have a lot of things going on other than just my work. And then the other thing is, I knew you had people that were not only all over the United States, but all over the world in all kinds of different time zones. And I'm sure you were sitting there trying to juggle, okay, what would be the best time that everybody can get in? You don't. I assumed you were trying as best you could. Maybe you couldn't do it for everybody, but you were doing the best you could to try and not have it where, well, these 5 people are going to be on at 3 in the morning. I assume you didn't want that, and we're trying your best to please as many as you could. But I wondered, well, is he going to have this at a time, that, well, as I said, I have more time probably during the day than most people who have to just, they've got to be there and doing
Hmm.
things with their job 8 hours a day. But on the other hand, my times that I have to be doing something are inflexible. If class meets from 9 to 9:50, then I'm in class 9 to 9:50.
Exactly.
I
Right.
can't say, oh, well, I'll just put that off and do that later on in the have this Alan. No, that.
Yeah,
So
you just
I'm
send
not.
in your teacher's assistant that day.
That's right.
Okay.
That was the main thing I wondered about, was whether I was that the course was going to be offered at a time that I could take it, and
Okay.
thankfully it was. So because of that, there really didn't turn out to be any hurdles at all.
Okay. Because you were part of the original class. I called you guys the guinea pigs because we did the classes live. Since then, we've had it recorded, and so now the recordings are up, so anybody can just watch them anytime. So, that's one of the things that people coming in after you now, they don't have to worry about that, about when it's going to happen. But was there anything about the material itself or the trade itself or the way it was laid out that caused you any kind of trepidation?
Well, the only thing, I think I've asked you a couple of questions about this, and I still need more. I still need more help with this. Is some of the technical analysis. In other words, analyzing the charts and seeing, for example, this last month. And I'll go over some of my results if you want me to a little bit later on. But after 6 or 7 months in a row of positive this month, in other words, the September month that I just closed out my last position yesterday, I was minus 6%. And the biggest reason was, if you remember, I think a couple weeks ago, you said something on the Facebook page that you felt like oil was going to keep going down, and I was saying, well, I hope not, because I've got puts. Well, you were right. It did. And so I ended up taking, several big losses there. But I was able to recover. I would have had maybe a 15% or more loss, but by making some more trades toward the end, like, reduced the loss to only 6%, which is tolerable.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I can't remember, what was your original question there again? I forgot.
So so about the trade itself, the methodology of going about it, getting involved in futures, was there a major hurdle or something that stopped you from going forward?
Well, nothing stopped me, but like I said, I think I would be a better trader if I better understood how to analyze the charts and be able to. I realize nobody has a crystal ball and nobody can predict what oil is going to do in the next few hours or the next couple weeks. But some of you who are on the Facebook page there, the blank check trade page or group or whatever, you seem to have a better handle. You in particular, but some of the others even some who are new or haven't been doing it, they look at it and they can kind of, oh, well, this is doing a double this or a whatever this, and I'm like, oh, okay. So if I understood some of that better, I think I think you've had some coaching sessions lately that have been recorded on technical analysis that I haven't been able to attend live, and I plan to get on the site and look at those. I just haven't done that yet. But
okay.
That's my main thing that I would, that I would say that I need to do better on. But on the upside, the blank check trading system gave certain specific rules. You get in at this delta, you get out at this delta, you get out at this price to take your profits. If it moves by this percentage, you look to do this. And to me, that was very nice that I could just say, okay, I can look. Did it do this? Is it doing this? Whatever. And if so, then make the trade.
Okay, cool.
And so I really like that there were very specific rules that it took you several years to learn, but
right.
I could learn them and learn to apply them within weeks or months.
Right. Have you been on any of the group coaching calls?
I have been on one or maybe two. I know for sure one, and I can't remember if I've been on a second one.
Okay, because I know that at least the last couple ones, we are spending more and more time on the technical part of it.
I read Facebook, yes, and I need to go back. Those are all recorded, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
I need to go look at those, and when I saw them on Facebook page, I said, well, that's something I need to make time to do, and I will.
And the technical analysis training is also completed, and it's also in the members area, so you can check that out as well.
Right.
Cool. So what did you find as a result of actually taking the course?
Well, mainly as I mentioned before, they were fairly simple techniques. It wasn't like, you had to go through all these convolutions of figuring out, well, if it's this, go this way. It's not like one of these flow charts that you got to follow. Well, if it's yes this and no this and maybe this, you go then. It was like, here's where you get in, here's where you get out to limit your loss, and here's where you get out to take your profit. And all those statistics are very readily available on, buy option trading platform, and so just made it very straightforward to me.
Okay.
To do it. I appreciate straightforward, simple trading rules.
Yes.
And I'm not modifying. I know you've modified them, and I have modified them a little bit too as we go along. For example, you say get in at delta 10. But I know sometimes you've gotten in a little bit higher in delta 10, and I feel very comfortable getting at delta of 11, a little bit less comfortable getting at 12, and I've even stretched it to almost 13, maybe 12.8 or 12.6. I'm very uncomfortable going above 13, so I don't do that. But I've even gone a little bit higher. But nonetheless, having the rule allows you to, and that allows a person, let's say a person's a little bit more conservative than I am. They could say, well, I know Alan said delta 10, but I feel more comfortable. I want to go to delta 8 or delta 9. Well, that's great. but you've given us the basis to start from, and then we can adjust from there as we need or as we feel like we're comfortable with.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I appreciate that.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I went through, all the trades in the past, and like you said, sometimes it's 10, sometimes 11, sometimes it's 8. But I took a look at everything, and then when I was coming up with the rules, it was basically, okay, you know what? I think I had the most success or when I was at 10. It doesn't mean that you can't win when you come in at 12 or 13. It just means that, for somebody new to it, and I mean, obviously you have several months under your belt now, so you have that understanding of what happens, what's the risk when I go to 12 versus 10 or versus 8. But somebody coming in brand new to it, okay, stick with it, start at 10, do it for a few times, and then, you can branch off after that. And really, when we're looking at either a 10 or 11, it's not that much of a difference. Um, Probability-wise, it's only 1% off, but that might be an extra, zero point 0.5 in the strike or maybe $1 in the strike. So um, that's a very good point that you brought up. So okay, next question. Specifically, what was the favorite of yours in the course? What was the favorite part of it?
Well, this I guess kind of goes along with what I've said before is the very specific advice. I mean, I've been involved in several different. I mean, you can go all the way from obviously if you're in a program that sends you specific trades. This is the trade I made. You make this trade. Okay, that's on one end. But then and I've done those before in several occasions. Then you can go all the way to the other end that I really don't like, and the other end is kind of like, well, here's some kind of very nebulous type guidelines and things to look for, and I really don't want to take the time to have to look for all those things. I want very specific things to look for. I can look at, okay, 1, 2, okay, this is where I want to go, and with those guidelines, within 2 minutes, if I'm ready to trade, within 2 minutes, I can figure out what the correct trade is.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get familiar with your platform. Obviously, when I first was using an options trading platform, it took me longer because I was learning the platform too. But now that I know the platform, knowing the rules, I can figure out the correct trade within several minutes. And I appreciate that, like I say, very specific advice on when to get in and out.
Okay, cool, awesome. All right, so if let's say you had a friend or a relative or someone that you knew that was thinking of getting involved, what would you tell them? Any kind of advice you would share?
Well, if they are have a tolerance for risk, I mean, some people, I talk to some people, they won't even invest in the stock market because the stock market's just too risky. Well, if the stock market's too risky for you, then you don't want to, you probably don't want to, because the stock market comparatively is not going to go up and down usually. I mean, there's been some big crashes, obviously, but usually not like oil. But for people who express that, yeah, they're willing to do that, I'd say go for it. And matter of fact, if it's a relative, my wife and I even talked about that after we get this down a while, and some of our children, especially that we have a couple that are married and a few that are going to be getting married very soon, looks like anyway. Helping them get started in it. If they're interested in doing that, I would not. I would never. At least I hate to say what you'd never do because you say that and then you end up doing something you say you'd never do. But I mean, my plan would not be to just say, well, I'll place the trades for you. You just supply the money, I'll do the account for. I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But if any of my children were willing to say, yep, I'll take the time that you took to learn the system, to figure out how to do it, and understand what's going on, understand what options are all about, what oil is about, and so forth, then I'd be willing to help them and do it. So not only encourage them to do it, but I'd be willing to get in and help them do it too as well, because I think it's a great system.
I mean, I agree with you. I think that would be such an amazing gift for a child, since that you've been doing it, you know what to do it, you can take it and you can be kind of their, their personal mentor right there. And if they can actually pick up something like this, it doesn't even have to be this, it could be anything, but if they can find a way that you know before they get to college or maybe in college where they can take a little bit of money and then they can make it grow on their own without having to get a job, right? What kind of world does that open up for them, right? Because I know a lot of my friends that I went to school with, and I'm sure you're a professor, you see this all the time, right? People, college kids nowadays, they don't know what major to pick, and a lot of the majors they pick are based on what job they can get and how much money they can make. But if you're have that some kind of skill like trading that you can make your money on your side and doesn't you can go and study whatever you want, go live wherever you want in the world and not be shackled with the debt and the 9 to 5, um, the grind. That's what they call it.
Right.
Yeah.
The rat race.
The rat race,
Um,
exactly. Yeah.
Matter of fact, now that you mentioned students and college students, I'd forgotten about this, but I actually had a student graduated graduated from our program just this past May, and I don't know how we figured this out, got talking about it, but it turned out he was an options investor as a college student. Now he was an options buyer, not an options seller, and he probably, with his amount of money that he had that he could do, it'd probably been difficult for him to get into what I'm doing. But nonetheless, I told him about the issues with option selling, and why I felt like option selling was a better deal for him. And I said, you really need to look into that. And of course, we didn't have much time to talk about it because I just found out about it shortly before he graduated. But so I've already had an opportunity to encourage one person in college to get involved with that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I know a few years ago I had a member of Option Genius who wrote in, and he basically said that he was teaching his 14-year-old daughter how to trade options, sell options, and that she was doing amazingly well, and that she did so well that her uncle actually gave her, I think it was $25,000 to play with, and
Wow.
she was doing phenomenally well month after month, and that he wrote in because he was saying, hey, thanks for exposing us to this stuff and for teaching us, because now she's going to be able to pay for college with this $25,000 account, which I thought that was incredible. So but okay, so I mean, we talked a little bit. You mentioned a little bit about the riskiness of the oil and you know the options on oil. How do you feel about that after you've taken the course versus what you thought about it before you took the course?
Well, let's first start out with my fact that both my wife and I have always been quite risk tolerant. Um, we have some money that we inherited from my dad when he passed away a few years back, and we just kept it where it was with a I won't say the name of the company, but it's a well-known financial company, and have a certified financial planner who communicates with us fairly regularly about the funds there. And he sent us something that we did independently. It was basically to evaluate your risk, how averse you were to risk or how tolerant you were to risk. And my wife and I both did it separately and then put our scores together. I think we only disagreed on one question. All the rest of them were the same. And our score came out to be like in the low 90s, which 100 would mean, you're as risk averse as you can get. 0 means you can't tolerate any risk. So we were both way up there. And so I don't think the course itself changed our willingness to take the risk of selling oil options. In other words, they say, oh, well, I wasn't willing to take the risk, and now I am now. We were willing to take it before and willing afterwards. But however, what the course did do is it made me feel that selling naked oil options wasn't as risky as I originally thought. I mean, when you mention the words sell naked options, I think, wow, that's about as risky as you can get. But with the rules you gave and with the performance, it's kind of really if you follow a set of rules and along with, of course, I don't remember the terminology. You'll have to fill in the terminology that They don't allow oil to go up or down over a certain amount each day. They'll close the trading down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh, and I've looked at that on the internet, but there's a name for it. But
The lock limit.
lock limit, thank you. And basically, that's one thing that makes them not as risky. But just the fact of selling options that are way out of the money, and just makes it where it's, like I say, I thought coming into the course terribly risky, awfully risky, but that's okay. I like risk. I came out of it. I still like risk, but this isn't as risky as I thought it was. This will be nice. I can hopefully earn this money and not be as risky as I thought I was going to be.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. That was my thinking as well when I first started. You know, I didn't touch commodities for a long time because of that. You know, I stayed with equity options. But then I was just out there trying to find something different, like you said, you know, a little bit diversification, a little bit maybe something that is more controlled than the stock market, you know, with the ups and downs. Because even with the technical analysis in the stock market, you really can't be that accurate. Technical analysis, it works better with commodities themselves. And so when I moved over, at first I thought it was, you know, this is going to be really risky, but I'll try it with a little bit. And I found the same thing you did, that it wasn't as bad as I expected, and it might even be a little less risky than the options of the stock market, in my opinion at least. So now that you've taken the course, you've been doing the trades for a few months, has it changed anything for you in terms of
Well,
your outlook on the future or your trading or anything like that?
well, that same certified financial planner I talked about, as well as higher education faculty in West Virginia. When I came on, you had the opportunity to be with the state teachers retirement system, which my thought of that was, do I want to put the future of my retirement in the hands of politicians? No, I don't want to do that. Or you could send it out of state to an organization called TIA-CREF, which is a CREF stands for College Retirement Equities Fund. Basically, it's a place for people in education to put the money. It's got mutual funds. And what you do is you invest, it's instead of what the normal one that a lot of people go into, the 401k, this instead is like a 401a, 403b, something like that. But it's a similar type thing. You invest off of mutual funds. But anyway, both the person with TIA-CREF and my certified financial planner both analyzed and said, well, if you want to retire when you want to retire, and you live to win the actuarial table, say you're going to live, you're just a little bit short right now. You're just a little bit short with putting Social Security together, with the TI-CREF money, with the money that, you know, that inherited money. You're just a little bit short.
Wow,
Not a whole lot short.
that sounds scary.
It was a little bit short. So I looked at this, you know, so I could say, well, I could work a couple more years, and that would take care of it, you know. But basically, as far as my outlook on the future from doing this trading, if my future performance continues to match the past results, which of course there's no guarantee of that, there should be no question. I should be able to not only be able to last as long as they predict I'm going to live, but I should be able to replace my entire working income by the time I retirement. I shouldn't even have to touch any of the IRA, the 401b, Social Security, whatever. Obviously, when I get eligible Social Security, I'm not going to turn it down. But nonetheless, what I'm saying is that, you know, if the performance continues, then within a few years, I should be able to easily and more replace my entire income.
That is amazing. Oh, congratulations. I didn't know that. That's
We'll
wonderful.
see whether that worked. Talk to me in a couple of years, and we'll see whether that worked out, you know.
Yeah, right. But you're on the track, right? So even if it doesn't work out, you still have that confidence that you can do it, kind of, right?
Yeah, I mean, right now through 10 months, my overall gain is 63% through 10 months. So, you know, that's when you're doing that, you're getting close to. You know, my first few months, I didn't trade nearly as much, and I lost money in 3 of the first 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
So we're learning. So basically, it's getting close. It's getting close to doubling your money every year. It's not there yet, but it's close to that.
Right.
So if you can double your money every year, it doesn't take you very long to
No, no, it doesn't.
place your income, unless you're Bill Gates, you know. And I'm not even in that conversation. So
No, no, but that's awesome. I love that. That whole, it goes back to the freedom part, right? If you're not worried about it, because I get emails every day from people that are in a boat where, something has gone wrong and they're close to retirement or they're in retirement, and their biggest concern is, I don't have enough money to survive. Um, and it's a very scary proposition. Luckily, you did take action. You got into options, and then you got into this course um, early enough before retirement, so that you can learn it and do it, so that when you get close to retirement, um, you won't have as much worry, just because you have more skills than the average person. So kudos to you for that. Very happy to hear that. Wonderful. So
a consequence of that, of course, one of the things I've been looking into is if this continues to be more and more successful, looking into tax consequences. But that's a totally different
yeah,
issue, and there's all kinds of possible answers to that. But
yeah, there's the different things you can do. I mean, already the futures options, they already get the benefit tax. I don't know what it's called. I forgot the number. It's
yes,
1256 or something like that, where they get
section something I forget.
yeah,
Contract.
I don't remember the number of it, but it's 60% is taxed at long-term rates and then 40% at short-term. But going further, you could do even a little bit more. You could start a company and then trade out of the
Well,
company, and then you can take deductions out of that and whatnot.
I'm looking into limited, if this continues well, to do something like with a limited liability,
Right.
partnership
Mm-hmm.
type thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome. Cool.
So,
So, the final question I have is there anything that you want to share with our listeners? Anything that you want anybody to know about? People that are watching this are probably prospective students or maybe somebody who has just joined. Anything you want to share with them that you haven't already?
well, I don't know how much this would be for a person who's considering joining the course, but maybe for a person who started doing it, if they follow, you gave a couple different patterns on your course. At least when I took the course originally, I don't know how you've maybe modified it since then, but one way was just you got in at around 40 days till expiration, and then you got out when it met the certain conditions. But then you also said, or you can do this if you want to do more in and out trading, and for more possible profits. And obviously, as you well know, I chose the in and out,
Mm-hmm.
real, and it worked well. Just to give you an idea, this is starting with April future contracts. These are my monthly percentage gains, and I posted most of these on Facebook. 19.0, that was the best. 5.1, 13.2, 16.3, 17.0. That was, what, 5 months or 6 months in a row?
Mm-hmm.
But those worked real well when oil would maybe climb up a dollar or two one day, then stay approximately where it was or just bounce right around for a few more days, and then go back down a dollar or two and bounce around, and it did that for most of that time.
Mm-hmm.
But when it went straight down for a long time, like it did this past month, that's where I got hurt, and that's why, like I say, I lost 6% this month. So, because the normal is, of course, when the market goes down a dollar or two on a day, a couple percent, you say, okay, it's time to sell some puts now. It's gone down, sell some puts. On the theory, sell high, buy, sell low, and buy high, right?
Right.
So, or no, buy. Excuse me, sell high and
Yeah, it's
sell
the
high and buy
opposite.
low.
It's the
So
opposite.
right, you want to sell high, and that should be the high. When it's gone down, you should. But when the market's continually going down, that kind of flip flops. And so that's where I mentioned earlier. I need to, learn more about the technical analysis to be able to better predict. I mean, nobody's going to be perfect in it, but better predict whether this is just a bounce down for 1 or 2 days, or if it's going to, keep on going down for several weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That, like I say, that's not necessarily something for somebody who's just thinking about whether they're going to get in this course. Maybe somebody who's been in it a month or two and is trying to do the in and out type strategy. I recognized that about 3 months ago. I recognized that. I said, well, my strategy is working very well as long as the market keeps doing like it's doing, bouncing up and down, up and down, up and down, but not really going a whole lot. But I'm wondering what's going to happen when it just continues to go one direction for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I found out this now.
For me,
I've got to learn more.
For me, it's the opposite. When it's moving in one direction, I do much better because I'm not as active. I'm not jumping in and out as much. And so if I see, hey, it's going down, then I'll be like, all right, I'm going to be selling some calls because I don't want to be in front of that train. And so,
Right.
I just sit
And
back and relax and, eventually we get, obviously your returns lately have been much better than mine. I aim for that 10% level and then I back off because I'm a little bit more conservative. I guess on that risk scale, I'd probably be, somewhere on the 50% margin rate. But yeah, so it's so okay. So there's when you have oil or anything, when it's trending, right? If it's going one direction, let's say if it's just going sideways, you can play it on both sides. You can play the top and the bottom, puts and calls. The danger part is when it shifts. So
right.
it gets out of that sideways pattern and starts moving up or starts moving down. That's when you have to adjust your mentality or your trading style so that it reflects the new one. Or if it's going down and then it pivots and it jumps back up, then that's another time when us option sellers get in trouble whenever there's a big shift. So that is something that obviously the technical analysis could help you with that a little bit. Yeah, take a look at that the what is it, the training that we put into the members area, and I think that's another reason the Facebook group can help out because everybody's putting their thoughts in. So if you have any questions, put them up there, and you get different opinions, obviously, but it's cool that other people are also posting stuff up there from other resources as well. So
Right. That's been helpful.
cool. All right, Mike, so that's all I had. I appreciate you taking the time to answer these questions for us. I'm very happy with, that I can count on you as a successful student. I was very happy to hear about the retirement story that you shared. And again, Mike is he's done a great job. I'm very proud of him. And so I appreciate you taking the time and sharing some thoughts with us.
Well, thanks for calling and having me on.
All right.